Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's show. Our guest today is Colonel Todaro, who is the commander at AEDC. He's been here since July, so we're a little bit late getting caught up with him. But still, we want to find out lots of things are going on out there, and we need to get caught up a little bit. So welcome, and thanks for taking time to join us, Colonel Todaro.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good. How about telling the folks a little bit about Todaro?
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in upstate New York, Buffalo, New York. Joined the Air Force, went to the Air Force Academy, graduated with a degree in aeronautical engineering. I have a less than perfect vision, so I went out to Combat System Officer School, Navigator School it used to be called. Went through there.
Combat Systems is called now?
Yeah, CISOs, right? So we changed from Navigator to CISOs. But got to fly B-1 bombers operationally. Went to the test pilot school after an operational tour. And then did bomber flight test out at Edwards Air Force Base for a while. And then I've bounced around between the staff and going back out to Edwards and being a director of operations, a squadron commander, and a group commander in the flight test business. And then I was chosen to come out here to Arnold and lead this outstanding team here at Arnold Air Force Base.
Well, good. I'm glad they're outstanding. Yeah. Well, also, you have a master's from a little outfit we're familiar with in Auburn.
I do. So War Eagle.
Yeah.
And I got a master's degree in aerospace engineering from Auburn,
right,
which has served me well in my career as well.
And then I noticed you have 2 more masters.
I do, yeah. So I got one when I went through AFIT, Air Force Institute of Technology, in systems engineering. I was lucky to do that, and then I went through the Industrial College of the Armed Forces in Washington, D.C., and they presented another master's degree there. So, yeah, I have been fortunate enough to be to have the Air Force. The Air Force takes education very seriously,
yes,
and I've been very fortunate.
The military does. And,
yeah, fortunate enough to have them help me along the way.
Well, I think we could certainly safely conclude that you're fairly well educated, yes.
I guess.
Okay, how about a family situation? You got a...
I live with a bunch of ladies. I have my wife, Karen, who is, does a lot of things at home, but she also is a physical therapist, so she works here in Tullahoma and also in Manchester in physical therapy.
Ah.
And I have 2 daughters, Natalie, who's 14, she's a freshman at Tullahoma High School, and Audrey, who is 9, and she's at Robert E. Lee Elementary.
Ah.
So
very good.
We're enjoying the town.
Yeah. And you do have, my wife was from a household that had 4 girls and no boys.
Okay.
And so I've heard that story a few times. And you are a master, do they still call it a master navigator?
Yeah, well, yeah, so it's master CISO, Combat Systems Officer, but I still kind of say navigator once in a while, too.
Master navigator, and 2,500 hours,
right,
and flown in some 35 different aircraft.
Right.
Yeah.
So it has been an amazing opportunity for me.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Okay, well, let's take a short commercial break, folks, and then we'll come back and talk about AEDC.
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do, you know.
Everyday Miracles, Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Hello, I'm Larry McIntosh, and I'm asking you to elect me to be your property assessor. I have worked as a CPA and have 15 years of accounting experience. In addition, I worked for 16 years as a classroom teacher. I have a strong faith in God, and I currently serve as Sunday school director and deacon at my church. My experience as a CPA will allow me to capably and professionally lead the property assessor's office. The taxpayers of Coffee County deserve a property assessor who treats them with respect and is fair, honest, and responsible. I pledge to be that person. I, Larry McIntosh, ask you to elect me to be your property assessor on Tuesday, March 1st. Early voting starts Wednesday, February 10th. Thank you, and may God bless.
Our guest today, folks, is Colonel Todaro, who is the commander at AEDC, and we're trying to catch up with what's going on at AEDC, which is quite a few things going on. Colonel Todaro, would you like to review with the folks a little bit about the year gone by, 2015, anything in the way of activities or accomplishments or whatever?
2015 was a big year for us. Obviously, new commander, I came in July. But early on in the year, we started down and accomplished the new contract structure, which was a big deal. Our workload increased somewhat in 2015. So
yeah, even though you were sort of reducing forces as well, that was a little bit. Yeah.
So yeah, we're always making adjustments to the size of the workforce, but it stayed pretty stable through the year. But we're busy, and there's a lot going on, a lot of great programs.
Yeah, I think everybody was a little bit surprised at that. We thought things were kind of slowing down, and all of a sudden you had a really full year.
Sure.
Well, anything in terms of your mission, anything in particular that you can think of last year that
Probably the biggest change we made was the Combined Task Force organization. So we went from having divisions and people from all the divisions working on specific tasks. We changed our organization such that we call it Combined Task Force. And that is, there's one person in charge of a specific sub-area of Arnold. So there's a propulsion combined task force, there's an aero combined task force, there's a space and missiles combined task force, so that one person in charge, one person the final responsibility and the accountability for what goes on there.
For each
of those.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a change for Arnold. It's really the way Edwards and Eglin have been operating for a long time. So for me, it's the way I've always kind of known things, but for Arnold, it's a little bit of a change.
Okay. How about money? You had, of course, we're in the middle of your fiscal year 16, I guess, but that worked out okay for fiscal 15, and how does it look these days for 16 and up?
Well, we have the Air Force as a whole, the Chief of Staff has said we need to recapitalize our Air Force. And so the Air Force has committed significant resources to Arnold, because Arnold is a big part of, as you know, when we want to bring new weapon systems in, Arnold's where it all starts. Our wind tunnels and our engine test facilities. And so we have really opportunities in terms of resources. We've been given from the Air Force adequate resources, and our challenge is going to be to make it all work and get it all through here. So on that side of things, and Congress has provided a somewhat stable budget environment for the next 2 years. So
2 years,
at least 2 years, we know, right? So going into the presidential election. So in terms of financial resources, we're doing well. We're okay.
Well, that's good. That's a bit of a surprise also. I think most of us were expecting the defense budget was kind of going down.
Yeah.
And yet Arnold managed to escape that.
Yeah.
So, well, that's good. And well, you say you're being provided adequate resources for the next 2 years at least. Well, all right. Let's go ahead into 2016 and beyond. What anything in particular noteworthy that you'd like to talk about?
Well, the big thing that's in front of us, there are two fairly large things happening. The first one is we call it FARM. We're not buying with a farm. We're not buying a farm, but it stands for Facilities Acquisition and Restoration and Modernization. So the Air Force and the Department of Defense has committed significant resources to us to really upgrade and modernize a lot of the things we have out at Arnold.
The facility, the physical plant, yeah.
Bring them back to the standards that they were in their original state. For a while now, we've kind of had things, because we've been resource constrained, we've kind of had things in a way degrade a little bit, and we're going to go in, and it's really over 5 years, it's about $300 million over 5 years, go in and restore and bring back capabilities that have over the last 20 years or so degraded. So a significant opportunity for us. And we also have an opportunity on the hypersonics side of things,
right,
where the Chief of Staff has said hypersonics is one of our game-changing technologies that we want to look at. And so the Department of Defense has really committed about $350 million over the next 3 or 5 years to Arnold to upgrade and improve our hypersonics research facilities. And so those are substantial commitments. There's going to be a lot of great things going on. We just got to make sure we're good stewards of those resources and do it right.
The organization, the hypersonics thing was a little bit different too. You have a branch of the Air Force Research Establishment that comes out of Wright
That's right.
Field, right?
Yes, correct. We have the Air Force Research Lab has set up a detachment here at Arnold. And it really makes sense because their purpose in life is to look out and see in the world of hypersonics what things do we need to have in the future in order to make weapons that are hypersonic. And our job is to test those things, right? So it's a perfect marriage to have those folks sitting at Arnold and working together with us along the way.
It would be probably a good idea if you could refresh us a little bit on what, when you say hypersonics, what are we talking about?
Well, it's a variety of things, and in hypersonics there can be, anything from reentry vehicles coming back and going into space. It can be weapons that are boosted on the front end of a rocket and then glide hypersonically through the atmosphere towards their targets. But it can also be hypersonic propulsion things such as scramjets or ramjets that fly through the atmosphere. And generally, the accepted definition of hypersonic is about Mach 5 or above. Anything going 5 times the speed of sound.
Mach 5, which gets you up to somewhere around 3,500, 4,000 miles an hour.
Right, things that are going really fast
Yes.
through the atmosphere and getting really hot along the way as they do that.
And there was an interesting aspect of that came up in connection with the vehicles. Going into hypersonics, you're not going to have a pilot, for example. Part of that is you'll be doing it remotely. It won't be involving manned operations.
Well, I would never say never, but I mean, we've had manned hypersonic vehicles, the X-15 and the Space Shuttle, for example, and everything that's gone into space with people on it has come back, very, very fast into the atmosphere. But right now, our focus is on the weapons that can travel that fast, and that most of those are going to be, all of them are going to be unmanned at this point.
Yeah, and that's particularly true, I guess, when you start talking about defense and how much time you have to get prepared for an attack somebody else has launched against you.
Absolutely.
So, well, okay, we can talk a little bit more about that, but first off, we need to take a short commercial break.
All right.
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
It's your trademark. That's something special everyone knows and remembers. It's your thing. It's made holidays special for decades and summers unforgettable for the entire neighborhood. It's made everyone laugh every single time. Don't let illness or injury keep you from doing your thing. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
I'm meteorologist Leland Statham from the News Channel 5 Weather Center. Look to Jim Fuller and crew for local news night here on Channel 6.
We're back, folks, and we're talking today with Colonel Todaro, who is the commander at AEDC, and we're trying to get caught up on what's going on out there. One thing I didn't bring up in the beginning when we this whole area here tends to sort of overlook the impact that AEDC has on us economically. You want to touch on that? For the folks?
I think it's I can say safely, our folks, when they go in, they do an audit of what our economic impact is in the local area. It's over $600 million annually that we put in the economy around this area. So it's a pretty significant impact. We have over 2,100 folks working at Arnold right now on government, military, and contractor folks. So I think it's a significant impact, and we can show
I think you're still the single largest employer in the whole area.
Sure, I believe that is true.
Yeah. So very good. We were talking a little bit about hypersonics, and I had raised the question, it being 3,500, 4,000 miles an hour, if we were being attacked by somebody on the other side at that speed, you don't have a whole lot of time to respond.
No, you don't. It's so it reduces the amount of time you have to make decisions, obviously, defensively. So yeah, it can be a wartime, game-changing kind of technology. So it's important that we understand what we want to do and also what our adversaries might possibly do.
Mm-hmm. And our defense in that situation is likely to be unmanned also, wouldn't you guess?
I believe that's true. Sure, yeah. That's probably while it's not easy, the easier way of doing it would be to have it unmanned.
The speeds involved there almost suggest that you might ought to have some permanent arrangement going on from a defense standpoint. Something that's already up there flying around.
Sure.
Keeping track. Think that's going to be part of the game?
It probably will be. Yeah. Certainly.
Okay. Well, let's. One of the interesting things for the whole area, we have been accustomed to having primarily one contractor out there ever since the beginning in 1959 or something. Right. It has varied a little bit off and on, but kind of caught everybody surprised and still trying to figure out why the decision was made and by whom to break it into 7 packages for this year and out. Right. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, it's 6, so we have 6 separate contracts that over the last 12 years were done by a single contractor at Arnold. The decisions were made a few years ago. It was made by senior leaders of the Air Force, the senior acquisition leaders, as well as the senior leaders in the test and evaluation community. Primarily, the fundamental reason that was chosen was value for the Air Force and value, quite frankly, for the American taxpayer. To achieve the maximum value out of each and every precious dollar that is given to us, we want to make sure we have competition. Competition tends to bring out the best in terms of what is offered to the Air Force on the contract side. And so it really was a case of putting the right contract in place for each one of those services, and it turned out to be 6. it didn't. I don't think we set out with 6 was the number we had in mind. But there are certain things that happen at Arnold that lend themselves to a firm fixed price contract, and there are certain things that lend themselves to a different type of contract vehicle, a cost plus kind of contract. And so we went that way for those different types of services. And at the end of the day, it is we're getting better value for each and every dollar that we spend. 4 of the contracts we have are firm fixed price, meaning that we know exactly what we're going to pay for.
Okay, I hadn't heard that number. 4
Right.
of them are fixed price.
So those are the environmental.
That is a change.
The
yeah.
environmental restoration that goes on out there, the equipment calibration that we do, the information technology services that we have, and the support services. Those are firm fixed price. The cost is capped. We know exactly what we're going to pay for them, and we know exactly what we're going to get. And so across the Air Force, for those, in 3 of the cases, for the environmental, the equipment calibration, as well as the information technology, we are using contracts that are enterprise contracts across the Air Force. And so those also help us to achieve value. It's not just an Arnold contract, it is a contract that is being used by the Air Force.
Is that one of your packages, and I forget the name of it now, is being handled by Eglin?
Right.
And they're the ones that are going to be, they have been conducting a competition and
Right.
will be the ones issuing contracts.
So that is an advisory and assistance. Really, it's our test management and engineering kind of oversight contract, and that is being, we're currently under source selection on that contract, being run out of Arnold Air Force Base, out of Eglin Air Force Base.
Right. Well, what does that sound? Is that a sort of a surveillance? Is that primarily going to be looking over your shoulder to see if things are going okay?
Well, really, it's going to be us, the government, in charge and really kind of directing those folks on how we're going to do our next test, really. So it's really the test management and organizing the next, the tests that are coming, and also analyzing the data. So it's also, when we get data out of our wind tunnels and our propulsion facilities, it's analyzing the data and putting together the report on what happened.
And why is that beneficial to be coming out of Eglin?
Well, that contract is going to be, again, an enterprise contract across the entire Air Force Test Center. So it's Arnold, Eglin, and Edwards, and we're using that contract for all 3 places. So in those terms, we achieve value by having a single contract across 3 different test locations.
So it's a single contract. Will you have people permanently signed here in that role?
Absolutely.
You will.
Absolutely. There will
it's
be
not
folks,
a question of somebody coming in to look over your shoulder.
The folks that work on that contract for us will be at Arnold.
Okay. All right. Well, you've got one of your main contracts is sort of hung up in the legal system. First as a dispute, and now you're in court. Talk a little bit about that. What is that piece of the contract? Sounds like it's one of your major pieces.
It is. It is our test operations and support contract, which
Those
is
are
primarily the folks that
actually doing the testing.
Doing the testing and run the tunnels and the propulsion facilities for us. So it's a big piece of what we do. And it's right now at the Court of Federal Claims, and the judge has heard the case, and we're just awaiting a decision right now.
All right. Which you hope is going to be fairly soon.
Right.
Be nice to be as a. Otherwise, well, is your contract with ATA such that it's been sort of incremental? You're able to cut them off at different levels.
It has. We have option year with them, and so we extended for 1 year because of the contract protest that was going on, and we have off ramps. And so as the new contracts come online, we're off ramping work from ATA over to the new contractor who's coming on board.
Sure. Okay. Very good. And ATA will be available if you don't get this resolved soon. They'll be available till the end of September, I guess.
Correct. Right.
That would be the end of your option with them, wouldn't it?
It would be.
Yeah, yeah. So that could sort of complicate things if you don't have this unscrambled by then.
We'll always have a plan, right? And we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
I see. You do have a plan.
There.
Okay. Well, all right, folks. Guess what? We have run out of time, but hopefully we've done a little bit of catching up. So let's take a short commercial break and wrap up.
The Kia Summers on Us sales event is going on right now at Russell Barnett Kia of Tullahoma. Let me tell you about this event. Purchase a new Kia Sedona, Kia Optima, Kia Forte, and receive 0% financing up to 66 months and your first 3 payments for free. For a limited time only, no strings attached. With America's best warranty, the 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, Kia is the power to surprise. The Kia Summers on Us sales event going on right now. Why buy anywhere else?
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Good for AEDC to.
Sure.
We're back, folks, and we've been talking today with Colonel Todaro, who is the current manager at commander at AEDC, has been here since July, and so he's still got maybe a couple of years to go. Colonel Todaro, would you? Is there a little message you'd like to deliver to the folks out there directly?
Sure. Well, you know, I like to say that, and it's true, that we have the greatest Air Force in the world, and but it doesn't have to be that way, right? There was a time, if you go back to World War II, where we fell behind, and Arnold was created out of that environment, and so Arnold is really what keeps us, and it keeps our Air Force ahead of our adversaries and our potential adversaries. And so it's not the location, it's not the facilities, it's the people that work there. It's the expertise and the workforce that make that happen. And so there's been a lot of change recently. It's caused a lot of anxiety in our workforce, but at the end of the day, what we do has never been more important, and our workforce has never been more important, and they are extremely valued. And that's really the crux of what we do, and the reason why we're here is the work that they do. And so I just want to make sure everybody understands that it's important.
Okay, and that's a combination of Air Force people and contractors that we're all familiar with, and have been since 1959 or so. Well, Colonel Todaro, thanks very much for taking time to join us.
Absolutely.
And thank you folks for inviting us into your parlor, and we'll see you next time.